All right, let's dive deep into the world of Scarlett Rivera. You know her, right? The violinist, almost mystical presence alongside Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
We've got a collection of YouTube interviews here, and I think it's going to give us a backstage pass to her story.
Sounds great.
Most people know her for that Dylan connection, but her journey goes way beyond that.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking chance encounters, lifelong dedication to music, exploring all these different sounds. Where do we even begin?
Well, what always strikes me about Scarlett Rivera is how she carved her own path. You know, a lot of musicians, they're trying to fit in, blend in.
Right.
But she shows up in New York City with this burning desire to bring lead violin to the forefront.
Lead violin?
Yeah, lead violin. In contemporary music, not something you hear every day.
Yeah, not at all.
And it wasn't long before she had that legendary meeting with Dylan.
So, yeah, that story.
So picture this. You're a young violinist from Joliet, Illinois.
Okay.
You've got this unique vision in mind, and you're in New York City.
The Big Apple.
Suddenly, Bob Dylan rolls up beside you in his car.
No way. And asks, can you play that thing?
That's straight out of a movie. Did she even know it was him?
She did. Instantly recognized him. Talk about trusting your gut.
Wow.
That moment right there, it says so much about the kind of musicians Dylan was drawn to.
What do you mean?
He wanted people who could connect with his music on an instinctive level.
Like they were already on the same wavelength.
Exactly. He didn't want to over-explain, over-rehearse, just raw, intuitive musicianship.
I mean, that makes sense when you think about Dylan's music. It's all about feeling, improvisation.
It is, and that's exactly what he found in Scarlett Rivera. He whisked her off to a jam session at his loft that same day. No sheet music, no feedback.
Just playing.
Just playing. No instructions,
Yeah.
no facial expressions, nothing.
So how did she know if he even liked what she was playing?
That's the mystery of Dylan, right? But clearly he liked it enough because they ended up at the Bottom Line Club later that night to see Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters.
Yeah.
Another legend. And then, out of the blue, Dylan calls her up on stage to play with him in front of a bewildered audience.
Can't you imagine?
Total classic Dylan move. The unexpected twist.
It's funny, it's almost like her story has this cinematic quality to it.
Oh, definitely.
It's like her life is playing out on the big screen now.
Especially with the recent release of A Complete Unknown in December.
That's right. It'll be interesting to see how that film shapes public perception of her, especially for those who only know her through Dylan.
Absolutely.
But going back to that Bottom Line moment for just a second.
Yeah.
That unexpected call to the stage, it catapulted her career in ways she probably couldn't have imagined.
Oh, for sure. But let's not forget, she was ready for that opportunity.
What do you mean?
She'd been honing her craft, developing this distinct style, pushing the boundaries of violin and popular music.
So she was primed and ready, even if it came in such a surprising way.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder for all of us that preparation meets opportunity.
It's not just about being in the right place at the right time.
Right. It's about having the skill and vision to seize the moment when it arrives.
And within a week of that Muddy Waters show, she's in the studio with Dylan, recording the album Desire.
Amazing, isn't it? And that whole recording process, again, it highlights Dylan's unorthodox approach. He famously disliked overly rehearsed performances.
He wanted that spontaneous, raw energy.
Right. Which is pretty unconventional for a musician of his stature.
It makes you wonder, how did she navigate that environment?
She seemed to embrace it, you know?
Yeah.
She wasn't fazed by Dylan's eccentricities or his unique methods. She didn't try to fit in or seek his approval.
It's like she had this lone wolf persona.
Exactly. Observing, contributing in her own distinct way.
It's almost like a strategic approach, right?
I think so.
Especially in that male-dominated industry.
Oh, absolutely.
The face paint, the swords, that air of mystery, it wasn't just style.
It was a way to create a buffer, to maintain control and individuality.
To carve out her own space in that whole dynamic.
Yeah.
And wasn't there something about her being hesitant to sing at first?
Yes, she talked about that. And I think it ties into this guarded approach to self-expression.
Like she was expressing herself through the music, but not wanting to be too exposed.
Yeah, it's like her music became this channel for vulnerability, a way to express herself without feeling too out there.
And let's not forget the historical context here, too. She was Dylan's first female band member.
Right, a big deal in the 70s.
Especially in that era, the music industry was even more male-dominated.
Absolutely. So her presence in Dylan's band, it challenged the status quo.
Paved the way for other women in rock and folk music.
For sure. And that period with Dylan, it definitely put her on the map.
But her journey extends far beyond that, right?
Oh, definitely. What I find fascinating is her refusal to be typecast. She embraced so many genres: Celtic, world music, even New Age.
Wow. It's like she was constantly seeking out new sounds.
She was always exploring, never wanting to be boxed in.
It reminds me of Dylan in a way. That constant need for creative evolution, pushing boundaries.
You're right. It's not just about the variety of genres.
It's deeper than that.
It is. It's a philosophy, an artistic restlessness, a belief that true expression requires constant exploration.
Stepping outside your comfort zone, right?
Exactly. Not fitting into a neat little box, but forging your own path. And that's what we see in Scarlett Rivera's journey.
So how about we talk about her decision to start singing?
Yeah, that's fascinating.
What prompted that shift after years of being an instrumentalist? Was there a specific event? A moment?
From what I gathered from the interviews, it was a gradual process.
Okay.
It sounds like she had to confront self-doubt, insecurities about her voice.
That must have been tough.
It was. But once she broke through that barrier, it opened up a whole new avenue for expression.
That's so inspiring. It shows that even established artists can push themselves creatively.
They can. And sometimes it means facing your fears and embracing vulnerability.
And it's fascinating how that decision ties back to her lone wolf persona.
It does, doesn't it?
Singing is so direct, so personal. It forced her to step out from behind the violin, expose a more vulnerable side.
You're right. It wasn't just adding a skill, it was pushing her own boundaries.
And then there's All of Me, her debut vocal album.
Right.
She even admitted to grappling with self-criticism about her voice even after releasing it.
That's so relatable.
Isn't it?
You achieve something you've been working towards, and those inner critics still pop up.
It's like that vulnerability never fully goes away. But maybe that's what makes art so powerful, right? It comes from this place of deep feeling and honesty.
Absolutely. And what's amazing is how well received her album was. Both critics and fans loved it.
It's like that willingness to be vulnerable resonated with people.
It did, and it speaks to a larger point about how embracing our imperfections can make our art more relatable, more impactful.
It's a reminder that we don't have to be perfect to create something meaningful.
Exactly. Her story is incredible. She arrived in New York City with this bold ambition, faced all these challenges and uncertainties. It makes you think about the courage it takes to chase your dreams.
It does, especially when those dreams are unconventional, you know?
And coming from a small town, navigating that intense New York City music scene, that must have been a wild ride.
It must have been. But what stood out to me was her unwavering commitment to her vision.
She wanted to bring lead violin to contemporary music.
Yeah, and despite the challenges, the uncertainty, the sheer audacity of that goal, she never wavered.
She never compromised her vision,
Yeah.
even when faced with rejection and doubt.
Never. And that unwavering belief, that's likely what attracted the right opportunities.
It's almost like the universe conspired to bring her and Dylan together.
You could say that.
But do you think she would have achieved the same level of recognition without that fateful encounter?
It's hard to say. But what's clear is that she was prepared for that moment.
Okay.
She put in the work, developed her craft, cultivated her unique style.
So it wasn't just about Dylan discovering her. It was about her being ready to be discovered.
Exactly. It's about creating your own luck by being prepared for those serendipitous moments.
And she didn't start with Dylan either. Collaborations all over the world, Italy, Switzerland, even formed bands in different countries.
I know. It's like her artistry transcends borders.
Geographical and creative.
Right. And it speaks to her insatiable curiosity, her desire to connect with other musicians.
And then there's her work composing for films and Voice of the Animals.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
Her commitment to environmental causes runs deep. It adds another layer to her story, showing us that her artistry is intertwined with her values.
It's a reminder that music can be a powerful force for change, you know?
It's like she's using her music to amplify important issues, to inspire action.
And she's not just talking about it, she's living it. It's authentic, it's genuine.
What's fascinating here is how she blends her passions with her creative pursuits. It adds depth and meaning to her work.
It does. It reminds us that our passions can fuel our creativity, inspire us to make a difference.
And then, of course, there's Dylan Dreams, her album dedicated to, well, Dylan.
It's like coming full circle.
It is a beautiful tribute, a testament to his impact on her life and career. And she chose songs that held personal meaning for her.
Adding an extra layer of depth to the album.
Exactly. It's like she's sharing her personal connection to Dylan's music with us, the listeners.
It's about acknowledging and honoring the influences that have shaped our journeys.
recognizing the people and experiences that make us who we are.
Exactly.
Well, I can't wait to see what she does next, especially with that new song Elliot Murphy wrote for her.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting.
Another incredible collaboration on the horizon.
It seems like she's always evolving, always open to new experiences and creative partnerships.
It makes you think about how the choices we make, even seemingly small ones, can lead to such profound and unexpected outcomes.
It's true, her story is truly inspiring.
It really is. So before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How has Scarlett Rivera's unique path, embracing both solitude and collaboration, shaped her distinctive artistic voice?
That's a great question. It makes me wonder if that balance between independence and connection is the key to her creative longevity, you know?
It's something to think about.
Yeah.
And it speaks to finding that sweet spot for ourselves, that balance between our need for independence and our desire to connect with others.
Absolutely.
Her story is a reminder that there's no single blueprint for success.
Right.
Sometimes it's about forging your own path, even if it means going against the grain or embracing the unexpected. And sometimes it's about recognizing when collaboration can propel you further than you could ever go alone.
Beautifully said. It's about being open to possibilities, trusting your instincts, and embracing the journey.
Well said. And on that note, we should encourage our listeners to check out her music, especially now that it's all readily available on streaming platforms.
Yeah. Absolutely. And for anyone interested in that early period with Dylan, the Rolling Thunder Review documentary is a must-see.
It's incredible to think about how much music she's created over the years and the impact she's had on so many people.
Inspiring musicians, advocating for important causes, her legacy goes far beyond the notes she plays.
And to think, it all started with that chance encounter on a New York City street. What a reminder that life can take unexpected turns.
It can. And sometimes those turns lead to our greatest adventures.
What an incredible deep dive. I'm feeling so inspired by her story. Her journey is a testament to artistic vision, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of creative expression.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the most extraordinary destinations.
We've only just scratched the surface, though. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve deeper into her artistic evolution and the impact she's had on the music world.
Until then, keep those creative sparks flying.
Are you ready for the ultimate podcasting adventure? The Long Island Sound Podcast offers you not one, but 2 ways to engage with our captivating content. Tune in to our audio podcast on your favorite platform and let your imagination paint vivid pictures of Long Island stories. Or if you're craving a visual feast, catch our video podcast on Spotify and on the Long Island Sound YouTube channel. Double the options, double the excitement.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Scarlett Rivera. We've already touched on her groundbreaking work with Bob Dylan and her fearless exploration of various musical genres. But what truly captivates me is how she consistently pushes her creative boundaries. It's as if she's on this endless quest for self-discovery, both personally and musically.
It's that constant evolution, right? Like she's never satisfied with staying in one place musically. But what's interesting is how she balances that drive for exploration with a deep appreciation for collaboration.
You're absolutely right. She clearly values solitude and independence. But she also recognizes the power of connecting with other artists. It's through those collaborations that she's been able to spark new ideas and expand her musical palette even further.
It's that synergy, right? The spark that happens when creative minds come together. It's like she's able to tap into a collective energy that fuels her artistic growth.
Exactly. And it's not just about working with other musicians. Think about her work scoring films and her involvement with Voice of the Animals. It's clear that her commitment to environmental causes is deeply intertwined with her artistry.
You know, that's something that really struck me as I was watching those interviews. It's not just lip service. It's a genuine passion that permeates her work. It's like she sees music as a way to amplify important issues and inspire action.
It's a powerful reminder that art can be a force for change. And with Voice of the Animals, she's using her platform to advocate for a cause she truly believes in. It adds another dimension to her artistry, showing us that music can transcend entertainment and become a vehicle for something much greater.
It's almost like she's found a way to merge her creative passions with her personal values, creating a synergy that makes her work even more impactful. Speaking of impact, let's talk about her work scoring films. It's another avenue where her creativity shines, bringing her unique sound to visual storytelling.
It's fascinating how she's able to adapt her musical style to enhance different mediums. Scoring a film requires a deep understanding of the director's vision and the ability to create music that complements the narrative and evokes specific emotions. It's a real testament to her versatility as a musician.
It's almost like she's adding another layer of storytelling through her music, enhancing the emotional impact of the film. And it speaks to her collaborative spirit, her ability to work within a team and contribute to a larger artistic vision.
You're right. It's not just about creating beautiful music in isolation. It's about understanding how that music interacts with other elements to create a cohesive and impactful experience for the audience.
It's amazing to think about all the different ways she's used her talents to make a difference in the world, from inspiring young musicians to advocating for the environment. Her impact extends far beyond the notes she plays.
What strikes me is how she's managed to achieve all of this while remaining relatively under the radar, especially compared to some of her more famous collaborators.
That's true. She hasn't sought out the spotlight in the same way that others have, but perhaps that's part of what makes her so intriguing.
It speaks to a certain humility, a focus on the art itself rather than fame or recognition. It's almost like she's content to let her music speak for itself.
And yet, despite her low-key approach, her influence is undeniable. She's inspired countless musicians, touched people's lives with her music, and championed causes she believes in. Her impact is profound, even if it's not always front and center.
It's a testament to the power of authenticity and staying true to your vision. She hasn't compromised her artistry for commercial success or mainstream appeal. She's followed her own path, and that's what makes her story so compelling. It's a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful work happens outside of the spotlight, driven by passion and a deep sense of purpose.
It's like she's found a way to balance her artistry with her advocacy, her need for solitude with her desire to connect, her independence with her collaborations. It's that balance that makes her stories so unique and inspiring.
And it's a reminder that there's no single path to success. It's about finding what works for you, honoring your own rhythms, and trusting your instincts. Scarlett Rivera's story encourages us to embrace our individuality, follow our passions, and stay true to ourselves, even if it means venturing off the beaten path.
Her journey reminds us that it's okay to be a little unconventional, to push boundaries, and to create art that reflects who we truly are. And sometimes, those unconventional paths lead to the most extraordinary destinations.
It's like she's giving us permission to be ourselves, to explore our creativity, and to use our talents to make the world a more beautiful and compassionate place.
And with the recent release of A Complete Unknown, it's exciting to think about how a whole new audience is being introduced to her music and her story. I have a feeling we'll be seeing a resurgence of interest in her work, which is fantastic.
I agree. It's wonderful to think about her music reaching new ears and her story inspiring a new generation of artists. She's a true gem, and her journey deserves to be celebrated.
Speaking of celebrating, we've only just scratched the surface of her musical influences and the lessons we can learn from her remarkable journey. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll delve into those aspects in more detail.
Until then, keep exploring and embracing the beauty of the creative spirit.
The Long Island Sound is here to help you connect with local artists. Follow us on Instagram for the latest up-to-date podcast episodes and also to connect with your local artists and their upcoming shows.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Scarlett Rivera's life and music. It's been quite a journey, exploring her chance encounter with Dylan, her time in his band, and her ventures into all these different genres.
It really has, and I think it's worth reflecting on those early experiences, especially that bold move to New York City. It shaped her whole trajectory.
Yeah, leaving the comfort of her small town to pursue music in the heart of the music world, that takes guts.
It does. She was drawn to that creative energy, that melting pot of musical styles that New York, especially in the 70s, was known for. Such a stimulating environment for someone pushing boundaries like she was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how those years influenced her sound, her approach to music. Being surrounded by so many different genres, all those styles converging in that vibrant scene.
It's fascinating, right?
It is. Did she ever mention any specific artists or musical traditions that influenced her?
Well, she didn't name drop any specific influences, but her exploration across genres speaks volumes: Celtic, world music, new age, even experimental sounds. It's like she absorbed it all, weaving it into her own unique tapestry.
So true. It's like she took those diverse experiences and created something entirely her own, something fresh and captivating.
Exactly. It reminds us that inspiration can come from anywhere. Sometimes the most interesting art comes from blending styles, breaking down those genre walls.
Right. And speaking of breaking down walls, let's talk about her decision to start singing later in her career. A big shift for someone who had primarily expressed herself through the violin.
It was a natural progression, but a bold move nonetheless. Like, she reached a point where she needed to express herself more directly, to share her voice in a literal sense. Remember, she initially hesitated to sing because of that lone wolf persona.
Yeah, putting her voice out there was a huge step.
It was. And what's inspiring is that she persevered, even with the self-criticism she had about her voice. Talk about commitment. She pushed beyond her comfort zone and explored a new facet of her artistry, despite those doubts.
It's a reminder that growth often comes from embracing vulnerability, from being willing to step outside of what's familiar. And it's clear that her willingness to take risks paid off, enriching her music and deepening her connection with her audience.
Absolutely. It's funny, thinking about how the recent release of A Complete Unknown might shift how people see her musical journey.
Oh, you mean how the film might spark new interest in her solo work?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully people will delve deeper into her discography, discover her full range, not just the Dylan collaborations.
I hope so too. Her story is so much more than that one chapter. What do you think is the most valuable lesson we can take away from her journey? What can we, as listeners and music lovers, learn from her approach to art and life?
For me, it's that reminder that artistic growth is continuous. It's about staying curious, embracing experimentation, and never being afraid to try new things. Her story, it's a testament to the power of following your vision, even if it means taking the road less traveled.
I love that. It's a reminder that the most rewarding journeys are often the ones that take us off the beaten path. And who knows what we'll find along the way if we stay open to possibilities.
Exactly, and it's not limited to musical exploration. It's about finding that balance between solitude and collaboration, knowing when to retreat into your own creative space and when to open yourself up to working with others. Finding that sweet spot where you can nourish your own creativity while contributing to a larger vision.
Her story beautifully illustrates that. It's a reminder that the creative journey is as much about self-discovery as it is about artistic expression.
It's about pushing your own boundaries, exploring new territories, and allowing yourself to evolve over time without fear.
What a powerful message. Scarlett Rivera's journey is a true inspiration for anyone who dares to dream big, to follow their own path, and to create art that reflects their soul. What a beautiful way to end our deep dive.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Her story is a testament to the power of artistic vision, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of creative expression.
We encourage everyone listening to seek out her music, explore her collaborations, and let her story inspire you to embrace your own creative adventures.
Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.